The Witness is a deceptively complex game, especially from the viewpoint of new players or people who've only seen the trailers and marketing. After all, it's just a line puzzle. Draw a line from point A to point B. They have these things on kids' menu placemats at bar and grills. How hard could it possibly be? Oh, you sweet summer child. The Witness is the latest game from Jonathan Blow, best known for making Braid, and is about puzzles. That's it, basically. You think that's a punchline, but no, that's the simple explanation of what's going on. You play a dude who walks through a tunnel, finds himself on an island with lots of puzzles, and the more puzzles you solve, the more the island opens up. Complete an area, and a beam shoots up to the mountaintop. Get enough beams to fire, and you'll get access to the mountain. Beat the puzzles in there, and you win. The game never forcibly gives you anything along the way as far as story information. Who you are isn't explained, what the puzzles are for isn't explained, etc. It's decidedly odd to have a game like this be given such a presentation, and yet you have no character motive to do any of this beyond, it's a video game, go beat it. The presentation itself isn't an issue though. I mean, just look at it. Some people have said this game could have just been puzzles by themselves and didn't need the walking around as padding or extra fluff, but I disagree strongly. Not only are these environments gorgeous, but they add variety and flavor to the different puzzles that would be lost if it was just the line puzzles without needing to navigate towards them in first person. Not only that, but some puzzles specifically require you to look at them from unconventional angles to solve them, and others require navigating through areas to get hints and clues about how to solve them in the first place. Speaking of clues, let's use this puzzle here to show a really player-friendly way to teach puzzle mechanics. This one is shown very early on, but you aren't told what any of these symbols mean or how they work. It's essentially impossible for someone to solve it as a new player at this point in time. However, unlike other games that won't let you pass because you haven't made enough progress yet, this one can be solved if you know the solution or have enough clues to solve it. Each symbol on this puzzle adds a condition or rule to the path you must take. For example, one rule is the dots on the path. You must pass over all of them before reaching the end for that condition to be satisfied. If you hit the end without doing that, you fail and must try again. Each area usually has very simple puzzles with these rules to establish what works and what doesn't, then turns that up until it becomes second nature. Some of these special extra doors outside the main area will feature several of these rules at once, making the path required particularly complicated. Yet, there is one thing I should mention about the story of this game. Remember why I said it's about solving puzzles and that's it? Well, I was being a bit reductive, but not inaccurately. See, my previous segment about people critical of the walking around the island mechanic stems from my view that only people who have no valuable understanding of the game would say that with any sincerity. To show you what I mean, let's take a trip past this spoiler warning. To make clear what this game is about, we gotta discuss a real-world phenomenon called the Tetris effect. Essentially, when Tetris became such a big hit, many people started to see Tetris blocks in their everyday life as patterns in already existing images and objects. The square windows on a building, the slabs on a sidewalk, anything with repeating squares really. It amounted to a game being able to rewire, at least to a very minor degree, the way people perceive the world, in this case creating images and patterns that aren't really there in the way the person sees it. The Witness is essentially a meta-narrative focused on intentionally creating that phenomenon. Throughout the game and its environment, you'll be able to come across line puzzles that are not on the standard square screens, and are in fact composed of patterns and pieces of the island itself. It could come in any form in any place. Pieces of wreckage, rivers, windmills, even the clouds themselves if you can line them up right. None of these are mandatory to beat the game, but once you are aware of these, the outside-the-box thinking can become a constant thought added to your travels. If your goal is to solve all of them, you'll be looking everywhere for these things. And just like the true-to-life Tetris effect, you'll see patterns that aren't really there. This is hammered home by the secret true ending, which you get by doing a hidden solution to the tutorial area. This involves connecting the fucking sun to the main gate. Yeah, crazy bullshit is afoot. It ends with the presumed player character waking up and taking off a VR headset. The story is basically that the island was a virtual world meant to create conditions that would rewire the brain for pattern recognition. Lo and behold, you and the character see these line puzzles now everywhere, meaning the simulation was a success. In effect, the person you see at the end is meant to be, in a sense, another person who played the witness, hence why it's just live action footage instead of the in-game engine. Hopefully you don't have too much in common with that lad, because the jar of piss is a bit much for a game like this, honestly. The in-game plot devices also allude to this more grand theme than an actual story, as you'll get various optional audio or video segments from different philosophical or academic discussions, such as Albert Einstein, Gangaji, Russell Steikwart, and Arthur Eddington, as well as quotes read out loud by some well-known talents like Phil Lamar. These range in length and in topic, with one infamous one being roughly 58 minutes long of a video, and to top it off, that video has a hidden puzzle in it as well that you have to time correctly, meaning if you don't get the timing right, you gotta watch it all over again. The game does a great job presenting all of its elements exactly as intended, even if it's a bit head-heavy for most to even perceive at first. I spoke about this kind of intentful design in the last review for the Swapper, how that game uses its gameplay to tell its story, and this game does it way more intensely, but in a way that's arguably esoteric and ends with the result of the gameplay is the story.